I would like to announce that I am just appointing Maulana Afthab Cassim as a wakil. In my absence, he can make you breathe.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa nabiyana maulana Muhammadin wa ala ali sayyidina maulana Muhammadin salatan daimatan maqbulatan tu'addi biha anna haqqahu al-azim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli wa nusallimu ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqin. Sadaqallahu mawlana al-azim wa ballaghana rasuluhu an-nabiyyul aminul makinul kareem. Wa nahnu ala dhalika minash shahidin wash shakirin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Gawth Al-Azam bamane besaron sama madade. Qibla di madade, Kaaba Ima madade. Al-Qaadiri amna araye Gawth Al-Azam mizanam, Damz Shaykh Ahmad Raza Khan Qutb Alam mizanam. Sayyidi Ya Murshidi Shah Mustafa Khan zindabad. Maslake Sarkar Ala Hadrat zindabad. Ya Ilahi Maslake Ahmad Raza Khan zindabad. Hifz Namo se Risalat ka jo zimmedar hai Sayyidi Ya Murshidi Shah Mustafa Khan zindabad. Hamile Faiz Razae Mustafa imdad kun. Sallallahu ala nabil ummi wa alihi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salatan wa salaman alayka ya sayyidi ya sanadi ya habibi ya tabibi ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alika wa ashabika ya rahmatan lil alamin. All praise is due to Almighty Allah. Darud and salams upon the most perfect, exalted and glorified of Allah's creation, Sayyiduna wa Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Peace, blessings and salutations upon the Anbiya Ikram, Ahle Bayt Athar, Sahaba Ikram, Khulafa Rashidin, Tabain, Tabe Tabain, Aimma Mujtahidin, Awliya Kamilin, and all those who will follow the path until the last day. We thank Almighty Allah through His infinite mercy and through the wasila of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam for blessing us with the opportunity to congregate during these Mubarak nights of the Gyarwi Sharif to remember him and his beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to honor and pay tribute to the pious and the pious amongst the pious, as Sayyidina Shaykh Muhyiddin Abdul Qadir al-Jilani al-Baghdadi radiyallahu ta'ala an. Before continuing, let us direct our hearts and our thoughts and our minds towards the holy court of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in doing so, let us all together recite Durood Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyana wa Maulana Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadin wa ashabihi wa barik wa sallim sallu alayhi salatu wa salaman alayka ya Sayyidi ya Sanadi ya Habibi ya Tabibi ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alika wa ashabika ya rahmatan lil alamin. Alhamdulillah, over the last 9 nights, tonight being the 10th night, I've attempted to discuss the glimpses of the Rohani Maqam of Sarkar Gawth Pak radiyallahu ta'ala an. Obviously, the reality of that Maqam, none of us can truly understand. So a few rays and a few glimpses of what we have understood through the blessings of our Mashayikh, who have understood through the blessings of their Mashayikh, and who have understood through the blessings of their Mashayikh, who understood from Sarkar Gawth Pak as it came down towards them. So we've been trying to do that over the last few nights. Before I continue, so that I do not forget, Janab Hafiz Nazir Somre has asked me to make dua today. Is the Isla Sawab of his mother, Marhuma Maimuna Somre. And he also asked me to make dua for his father, Sayyid Cassim, Sayyid Azam Cassim Somre, whose Isla Sawab is next week. So for both his parents and all those others that have asked me to make dua, generally dua for all the marhums of the Ahl Sunnat wal Jamaat. Allah make them maghfirat and exalt them in Jannat al-Naim. Durood Pak, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyana Maulana Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadin wa ashabihi wa barik wa sallim sallu alayhi salatan wa salaman alayka ya Sayyidi ya Sanadi ya Habibi ya Tabibi ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alika wa ashabika ya rahmatan lil alamin. Ala Hadrat Adimul Barakat Imam Ahl Sunnat radiyallahu ta'ala anhu share that I've been discussing, where he says, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ है साया तुझ पर, बोल बाला तेरा ذکر है ऊंचा तेरा. And I explained that through the beautiful share of Qasida Ghawsiyah Sharif, which Sarkar Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu delivered from his blessed Zuban whilst in a state of deep ruhaniyah, and in which he was addressing the Afthab and the elite amongst the awliya Allah, thereby allowing that address and that message that he passed to pass down in generations till we received that message, which he spoke to the awliya Allah, but it was also a message for those who follow the awliya Allah, so that they may understand the maqam ruhaniyat and the maqam qurb which has been given to Sarkar Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu. And I said to you, he said, Ana al-bazi wa ashhab kulli shaykh wa man Allah fi rijali wa uti misali. Sarkar Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu said, above all the shaykhs, above all the shuyukh, above all the peers, I am the greyish white falcon flying high. Who is there amongst the men of piety? Who is there amongst the rijal who has received, who has been blessed, who has been given like I have been given? So he was making this challenge, I said to you. And I further explained yesterday, and I'm not going to go too much into this because I think I took 2 nights to explain that couplet. But for understanding, I said last night as I ended, that the power, the beauty, the speed of a peregrine falcon or a whitish grey falcon, or in that category, is such that when it soars up when it flies into the heights, no other bird can catch it. It's too fast. It's regarded as the fastest creature on the earth. Okay. And I said to you that one of its qualities is that at that height, when it's there, it can see something on the zameen. Okay? And we said that speed that it gets is because of its bazu, because of the power of its wing. Now, Sarkar Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu has given an example of himself amongst the awliya like that. Why? I said to you yesterday. Because I said, Ghaus Pak radiallahu anhu, Allah has blessed him so much that he is like that falcon amongst the birds, that when he soars to the heights of ruhaniyat and qurb ilahi, the awliya who are reaching heights because of his blessing are astonished by the height that Sarkar Ghaus Pak has gone to. They would think that when we get here we may find him there. But when they get there, Sarkar Ghaus Pak is many levels above them already. Okay? But from that depth of ruhaniyat, from that height of qurb khas, Sarkar Ghaus Pak radiyallahu anhu is able to see that which even the super elite are not able to see. He can see that. And that strength of his ruhani wing, what is it? What is the wing that propels that bird to be able to go at that height? He doesn't need physical wings. His support is the Mubarak hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by which he is spiritually propelled to the heights, where he reaches that maqam and is continuously reaching maqams that you and I cannot even understand. But I said something and I ended with this last night, that Sarkar Ghaus Azam Jilani al-Baghdadi radiallahu anhu, when it comes to him, you must understand, when he told you about this maqam and he told the Afthab about this maqam, he was telling everybody in reality, and I said this yesterday, I ended with this, that as he is able to fly that high, he is able to come down with that speed also. And as he is able to protect, he is able to devastate also. Yani bachana bhi jante aur marna bhi jante. And to explain that, I read one share of Allah Hazrat yesterday. Allah Hazrat Adimul Barakat says in this one kalam of his in the shan of Sarkar Ghaus Pak, he says, Al-Aman kah rahe Ghaus wo tikha tera. Al-Aman kah rahe ay Ghaus wo tikha tera, mar ke bhi chain se sota nahi mara tera. Yani, oh Allah, may Allah protect us from, protect us ya Ghaus Azam. Allah is saying, may Allah protect us, O Al-Azam. Your fury is so frightening. As much as your Jamal is so beautiful, your Jalal is frightening. When we hear about your Jalal, that even in his grave, the one struck by you remains suffering. The person who was that dushman of Sarkar-e Gawth Pak, that dushman of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who Gawth Pak strikes, he is destroyed here and he is destroyed in the hereafter also. And they were those that Sarkar-e Gawth Pak radiallahu an taught a lesson to because of their ego, in inverted commas. But them Sarkar-e Gawth Pak forgave them, so they were protected here and they were protected in the hereafter. Okay? But there are those upon whom his Jalal fell, khatam ho gaye the. Anybody who opposes, let me give you one example. And this is why it is so important to be cautious in the court of the awliya, when you talk about them. Because when you, it is in the hadith in Mubarak, it's hadith of Bukhari, that when you, and I'm giving you the gist, if you speak against any wali, if you go against any wali of Allah, you have Allah Almighty says, hadith Qudsi, you have waged open war with Allah. Who can wage a war with Allah? But this tells you, without comparison, that you and I, if somebody harms one of our beloveds, we stand to fight. Without comparison, bila tashbih, bila tamsil. Don't think if you harm somebody or speak about somebody who is the beloved of Allah, Allah is going to leave you like that. Allah will send His wrath upon that person. Ghazab hoga. And I'll give you one example. Many years ago in Pakistan, in Darya Sharif, where Pir Abdul Haq, very great pious personality, comes from. His father's name was Baba Jamia Rahmatullahi Ta'ala in Darya Sharif. There was a Bad Mazhab that always spoke against this Budurg. Always. One day, standing on the mimbar on a Friday, he started to slander Sarkar-e Gawth Pak. Started to slander Sarkar-e Gawth Pak. Listen, I'm being brief. He started to slander Sarkar-e Gawth Pak, and while he just started slandering, he went in such a state that he couldn't control his body and he collapsed on that mimbar. He became dumb, he couldn't talk, he couldn't see nothing. Bilkul khatam ho gaya, he fell from the mimbar down. The moment he was starting to make beadbi of Sarkar-e Gawth Pak radiallahu anhu, the news went to Hazrat Babaji Mian Rahmatullah alayhi. He said, as long as he was telling about me, we left him. But when he said about Sarkar-e Gawth Pak, he's now finished. He was taken to the best of medicals, best of doctors, best treatment. They did everything, the best of everything. Everything they did, just to try and treat him so that he gets better. They could not treat him. There was no medical treatment available to fix him up. Why? Because he stood on the mimbar and he slandered Sarkar-e Gawth Pak radiallahu anhu. This happened in Pakistan, in Darya Sharif, many years ago. And when he slandered Sarkar-e Gawth Pak radiallahu anhu, as I'm saying, he fell from the mimbar. Can't talk, can't do nothing. All the medical treatment they tried, nothing was working. Finally, in those days, Dubai was something very new. In other words, it's technology and whatever. It's a dunyadari ki cheez hai. But it was, I'm giving you an example, so you understand. So it was said, take him there. They got very good doctors, and so from Pakistan they took this person there, this Bad Mazhab. He was the head of Bad Mazhabs there. Because he fell down after he made beadbi of Gawth Pak from the mimbar. He was taken. Hafiz Sharif will know, mashallah, Hafiz Sharif is here today also. That he came to know. He was taken there. The doctors, when they started treating him, they said, this is not some normal disease. We can't understand it. The nurses were giving testimony that they used to strap him to the bed. When he used to jump, the bed used to go up with him and hit the top and come back down again. Be'adbi of Sarkar-e Gawth Pak. Finally he died. Suffering, he died. After he died, his body was flown back to Pakistan in a sealed box. And his family was said, don't open this box. We fear that some kind of disease will spread. One time, Beadbi of Gawth Pak, this happened to him. Shaitan. When his corpse was brought to Pakistan, his family members His children, whoever, they said, no, whatever it is, let us just open and see the father's face, whatever. When they forced the box and they opened it in private, they shut it immediately. His zuban was hanging right down. And his face was equal to the face of a khinzir, of a suwar, of a swine. His family took him and they quickly did whatever and they went to bury him. The first grave that they dug, when they dug it, only snakes were coming out. They couldn't bury him. They went to another grave, they dug and found another site, they dug over there, water started to coming out. They dug another site, something else started happening. They couldn't bury him at all. Finally, people sent the message to that great Budurg, Hazrat Babaji Mian Rahmatullah Alayh. Okay, we don't know what happened, this Khabis died, now they're trying to bury him. He said, this Zameen of Darya Sharif won't accept him. This Zameen won't accept him because he made Biadbi of Imam al-Awliya. Sarkari Gawth Pak, the sand is not going to accept him. Finally, he was taken and buried in a sewage dump. He was buried, he was buried in a dump site, and for days and weeks and months after that, every day they had to put 1 truckload of sand on top. That's how it was sinking. What is this? Biadbi. Disrespect of Sarkari Gawth Pak radiallahu anhu. The Awliya Allah's darbar, that even if you make gustakhi of them in the dunya, especially Imamul Awliya radiallahu an, even while you are in this dunya, if somebody does it, he'll get the azab here, and after he dies too, he's finished. He's khatam. That is why Arad is telling us, the share that I'm explaining to you from connecting it to Qasida Gawsiya every night. Al-Aman kah rahe Ghaus wo tikha tera. Al-Aman कह रहे ऐ गौस वो तीखा तेरा मर के भी चैन से सोता नहीं मारा तेरा. That even after you die there is no sukoon for that person, he will be finished. So that is why the awliya, we have been always taught that when visiting the mazars, I'm going on this for explanation, when visiting the mazars and the darbars of the awliya, we must always observe utmost respect. Don't think you are in a normal place. Don't think you are in your bedroom. Don't think you are in your lounge. And this is in the darbar of the awliya. Think how much more when you are in the darbar of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the bargah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Adab is very important. You know, many people arrogantly try to show even their own excellence in the bargah of the awliya. We must be also very careful of this and always be cautious, because you get somebody going to the awliya's bargah, they want to show how special they are over there. Facebook pe dalo, wo karo, oh, I got this status here. No. This is a bargah of the awliya. If they gave you something, to be humble in their bargah. Remain calm. Be cautious. Because these are the beloveds of Allah and the beloveds of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, Hazrat Sayyidina Shaykh Ali bin Hajar Haiti radiallahu anhu. We talked about him a little bit yesterday. He went to the bargah of Sarkari Shaykh Al-Qaadiri Jilani radiallahu anhu. And when he got there, as he was entering the bargah of Sarkari Gawth Pak radiallahu anhu, he noticed a young man outside the darbar. He noticed a young man outside the darbar lying on the zameen in a very restless condition. Lying on the ground. Very restless, bechain condition. Hardly able to move. Can't do anything. Hazrat Sayyidina Ali bin Haiti radiallahu anh says that as I passed him, one thing that he could do, he grabbed my daman. He grabbed my clothes, my robes, as I walked past him. And he was weeping. Rone laga. He held my daman and he started crying. He said, please intervene for me. Go and make maafi on my behalf. Inside there in the bargah of Sarkari Gawth Pak, I can't wake up from here. I can't even get to him. Go and ask Sarkari Gawth Pak to forgive me. Hazrat Sayyidina Ali bin Hajar Haiti radiallahu anh says, I didn't ask him the reason, but I saw his condition like this. When I went into the bargah of Sarkari Gawth Pak radiallahu anh, I presented myself before Sayyidina Shaykh Al-Qaadiri Jilani radiallahu anh. And then, because I saw his hal, I presented a plea. I presented a plea on his behalf. And when Hazrat Sarkari Gawth Pak heard what I have to say, he said, I am overlooking him and forgiving him because you interceded for him. I am overlooking his shortcoming and forgiving him. मैं उसको माफ कर दे रहा हूँ क्योंकि आपने सिफारिश की. Because you came and you intervened. And you came and you asked on his behalf. so I'm forgiving his misgiving, his shortcoming. Hazrat Ali bin Hajar Haiti radiallahu went out and gave the young man this good news. The moment he heard this, he got up. He got up and flapped his hands, which were like wings, and he started to fly. He got up and he flapped his hands like how wings, and he started to fly. Hazrat Gawth Pak radiallahu anhu was asked about that young man's condition. Why that happened to him? Sarkar Gawth Pak said that young man was flying over Baghdad. Allah gave him the takat of, he had reached a certain level of ruhaniyat. So Allah Almighty gave him this power. So he was flying over Baghdad, and in his heart while he was flying, he's saying that today in Baghdad, there is no sahib hal more than me, greater than me. Samajh rahe? He was flying over Baghdad Sharif, and it came in his heart that probably today in Baghdad, there is no bigger sahib hal than me, nobody in this ruhani condition than me. So I brought him down. أنا البازي الأشهب قل شيخ ومن ذا في رجالي أعطي مثالي. Said I brought him down to this condition to break the arrogance of his nafs at that time. Because I saw that he's a successful spiritual person, but his nafs is trying to destroy him. Before that I brought him down. So Sarkar Gawth Pak didn't do that to send his ghazab on him. He brought him to put him to the next level, so that he realizes that this is Abdul Qadir, maqamukumul ula jam'u walakin maqami fawkakum mazala alma. That is what he was doing. Sarkar Gawth Pak was showing him. So this should be a warning, isn't it? It should be a warning to those who try to display their status and their authority and their arrogance in the court of the pious servants of Allah. Remember, the Sufyana Ikram have taught us a very important lesson, that in the Bargah of Gawth Pak, we are humble slaves and we are masters to none. In the Bargah of Sarkar Gawth Pak, we are humble slaves and we are masters to none. That is why when you find the great mashayikh, when they go to the Darbar of Gawth Pak radiallahu anh, they don't even want people walking around them and running around them. Hafiz Sharif, we went together to Baghdad Sharif, Abul Barkat. Huzur Muhaddis Kabir used to go in Jalal when people used to come and run and kiss his hand when they went. He said, everybody stay far, this is the Bargah of Gawth Azam, yahan sab ghulam ban ke aate hain. Yeah, everybody is a ghulam. So they taught us that here you are a slave, you are the master of none here. Here you come as a ghulam in the court of Sarkar Gawth Pak radiyallahu ta'ala an. So this is something very important that we should understand. And another very simple example for you to further understand how dangerous it is to make be'adwi. How dangerous it is to make be'adwi. You know, sometime by mistake you do something. When you realize, ask for forgiveness. Okay? And imagine now these Wahhabis and these Khabis and these Qubatha. What happens to them who openly make be'adwi of the awliya Allah? And not only that, they make be'adwi in the court of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are doomed. Our fellows, some of them still want to go and make them deference. Still want to go and make them still want to read namaz behind them. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah protect us from that. You know, we should be, and as I'm discussing, I just said, we need to be very careful, because you don't know what will lead to your destruction. You know, Sayyidina Shaykh Mansur Wasti alayhi rahmah says, he says, I was once in the Bargah of Sarkar Gawth Pak radiyallahu ta'ala, and I was in the Bargah of Gawth Pak radiyallahu anh, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani radiyallahu anh, and he was busy writing something. Famous waqia. Sarkar Gawth Pak, I was in Gawth Pak's Bargah, and I was busy, Gawth Pak was writing something on a piece of paper. When some sand, because their homes were made different from us, not like these mansions, and Gawth Pak, Allah blessed him with a lot. But they lived humble also. Even though they had home, big house, everything. But in those zamana, they had made from clay and whatever, the roof and sand. So while Gawth Pak was writing on the paper, Hazrat Shaykh Mansur Wasti says that, I saw Gawth Pak is writing something. Then I saw some sand fell from the roof on the paper what Gawth Pak was writing. So Gawth Pak dusted the sand off, and he continued writing. Obviously, he was writing some dini discussion. So he dusted the sand off and he continued writing. Little while went by, again some sand fell. Not long, little while after, again some sand fell. Again Gawth Pak calmly dusted the sand away. He said this happened the third time. Gawth Pak radiallahu anh again dusted the sand off. When it happened for the 4th time, he looked up and saw a mouse or a mole or whatever it was, a rat or whatever. It was on the roof and it was scratching, so the sand was falling, so it was dropping the sand. In Jalal, Sarkar Gawth Pak radiallahu anh lift up his head and he said, may my Rabb decapitate you. May Allah cause your head to fall off. Immediately that creature's head separated from his body. The body was one side and the head was one side. The Jalal of Sarkar Gawth Pak radiallahu anh. When that happened, Sarkar Gawth Pak put his pen down and he started to weep. Rone lage. Started to cry. The Budurg says, I asked, Ya Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani radiallahu anh, why are you weeping? Why are you crying? He said, I fear this I did to this creature. I fear that if a Muslim is the cause of any such displeasure to me, then the same should not happen to him. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Think about it for a moment. Ki kitni ihtiyat chahiye. How careful you have to be. Huzur Muhaddith Kabir once explained that there was a zamana when people used to take the name without taharat of Gawth Pak, there was a fear of their heads falling off. He said, even today, if you take Gawth Pak's name in that state, because of his karam upon us, that doesn't happen, that you lose some barakat in your life at that time. Something goes away. Be careful. You have to be very careful in the barakah of the pious servants of Allah. Why? Because Allah has given them this maqam. Now, Sarkar Gawth Pak, we were talking last 2 nights, I spoke about the share. And Al-Bazi wa ashhab kulli shaykhin wa man dha fi rijali u'tiya mithali. Okay? That Gawth Pak is this huge falcon amongst the awliya, he said himself. And I told you the speed of the falcon, 320 to 390 kilometers per hour, fastest creature on the earth. And he's only telling this to the Afthab and for the message to filter down to us, so that we may understand this maqam and this taqat that Allah has given him amongst the awliya Allah. Now, all this is because of the blessing of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam upon him. But to better understand this, you must know that Sarkar Gawth Pak was given such gifts from the court of Allah, such blessings from the court of Allah. Regarding one of them, he says, Kasani khil'atam bitirazi azmin. He says, Kasani khil'atam bitirazi azmin wa tawajjani bitijani al-kamali. What is he saying? Sarkar Gawth Pak, I'm going to tell you, it has been put into an Urdu manner also, and I'm going to tell you that and tell you what I translated to me. He says, Kasani khil'atam bitirazi azmin wa tawajjani bitijanil kamali, jis par gulkari ulul azmi wo khillat de. Jis par gulkari ulul azmi wo khillat de, aur kamaliyat ka usne taj sar par rakh diya. In other words, in the embellished robes of determination, in the embellished robes of determination, he garbed me. Allah Almighty garbed Sarkar Gawth Pak in the embellished robes of determination. Okay? Qasani khil'atam bitirazi azmin, would mazboot azam, that khirqa of mazboot azam, that khillat of mazboot azam, and with the crowns of perfection. Wa tawajjani bitijani al-kamali, and with the crowns of perfection, he crowned me. With the crowns of splendor, he crowned me. Now by Gawth Pak radiallahu anh saying this, Gawth Pak radiallahu anh is telling us that he was blessed with this robe of honor. Not a physical robe that you and I can see. A robe of ruhaniyat, of the tajalliyat, of the blessings and the manifestations of Allah Almighty. He says that my Rabb adorned me, dressed me, garbed me, robed me in this robe of honor and the robe of a great position. But this was not just an ordinary robe or jubba, like I'm saying. But this was the robe of honor, which was adorned, and he says it was embellished. It had an embroidery. Not a physical embroidery. It had a pattern in it. He says it was all this. But this pattern was not a normal pattern. It was the pattern of firm determination. The determination of coming in the qurb of Almighty Allah. Becoming close in the court of Almighty Allah. And on his head was placed the crown of splendor, the crown of Kamal from the court of Allah. In other words, Sarkar Gawth Pak is telling us, see all this which you all know about me. Up to now I've been telling you, he's telling the Aftabs. He said, now let me tell you, this is how it is. I have been given this khil'at. This khilat with that pattern and the design of determination. That Abdul Qadir, when he makes a firm azam, then his Rabb makes that happen for him. It makes him happen. Makes it happen. Another Sarkar-e Ghaus-e-Azam is saying that this robe is such a robe of determination by which the different levels of ruhaniyat are passed. I go through the different levels of ruhaniyat. Ghaus-e Pak radiallahu anh then tells the Afthab, subhanallah, that the crown of perfection and splendor, he's explaining, meaning the crown of honor and magnificence was placed on my head. It was put on my Mubarak head. And why was this done? Why was this done? The Sufyan Ikram say so that every wali and that every person should know that this is Shahanshah-e Vilayat. That he is the king of the saints. He is the king amongst the emperor amongst all the awliya Allah. And the barakat of this ruhani robe of determination is so great that all the awliya Allah together take its blessings and its barakat. All the awliya Allah together take its blessings and its barakat, and still there will be space. You understand? Without comparison. Without comparison. If there's somebody that's this big, somebody very fat, big sized person, without comparison, a very big person, tall, high, great stature. If they take out their kurta, how many people can fit inside it? Simple for understanding, without comparison for you to understand. How many people will fit inside that? Not 1, 2, 3, maybe 5, 6 people that he will cover. If it's very tall, very big size, like the old people, olden days Zamana. Okay? But on that person, it looks like it's a little bit tight. Understand? Now why I'm telling you this to understand? That this ruhani robe of vilayat and this khilat that Allah has blessed Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak with is such that all the awliya together take the blessings. And there's still space in it. There's still space in it. But for Ghaus-e Pak, it is a snug fit. It is a snug fit of ruhaniyat. Because the moment he gets in there, the moment he gets to that level, it is as if now that level is passed. He needs the next one, next size, without comparison. So he travels into the next level. In other words, Ghaus-e Pak radiallahu anh is the Baz al-Ashhab. Is the Baz al-Ashhab. So he passes through these levels by the barakat of this khilat, which Almighty Allah has bestowed upon him. And it is just like he entered the level, he has already taken all the blessings, and before you need it, he's moved, you know it is moved on to the next level. Now, Hazrat Sayyidina Maruf-e-Karhi radiallahu anh, subhanallah. Hazrat Maruf-e-Karhi radiallahu anh is from amongst the grand mashayikh, right? And one of the greatest personalities of his time, I told you the other night that Ghaus-e Pak used to make chilla in his bargah, right? He is actually the ninth Sheikh of Silsila Aliyah Qadriya Barakatiya Razviya Nuriya Amjadiya, okay? Very great Sheikh. Hazrat Ali bin Hayti radiallahu anh says, I once visited the grave. Now I'm talking about, I want you to understand this, that this khillat which Allah has blessed Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak with, it's so powerful that he moves through levels which others cannot understand. And all together if they come, they'll fit in that level. And there'll still be space. But for him, that level now needs to be bypassed. He's passed it already. Right? So Hazrat, now you'll understand this from this. Hazrat Sayyidina Ali bin Hajar Hayti radiallahu anh says, I once visited the Mazar Sharif of Hazrat Maruf-e-Karhi radiallahu anh. And how I went there? I went to Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak. Ah, subhanallah. How lucky. How fortunate, how khush nasib. Hazrat Sayyidina Ali bin Hajar Hayti says, I went with Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani, to the mazar of Hazrat Maruf-e-Karhi radiallahu anh. And when we got there, I heard Hazrat Ghaus-e Pak saying, Salam upon you, O Shaykh Maruf, you have progressed 2 levels above me. In that zamana. You have progressed 2 levels above me. So I want you to think who Maruf-e-Karhi is. So he says, he went, Hazrat Sayyidina Ali bin Hajar Hayti says that I went to Ghaus-e Pak, subhanallah, and Ghaus-e Pak stood in front of the bargah and he said, O Maruf-Karhi radiallahu an, today, you have progressed 2 levels above me. Hazrat Ali bin Hajar Hayti says that after some time, another occasion, again I went to Ghaus-e Pak, he was going to Maruf-e-Karhi. So I went again with him to the sacred mazar of Maruf-e-Karhi radiallahu an. He said, I saw Sarkar-e-Ghaus Pak stand there. He said, Salam upon you, Maruf Karki. Salam upon you, Sheikh Maruf. I have now progressed 2 levels above you. But what was each level? You can't understand. I have now progressed 2 levels above you. Then from the qabr of Maruf Karki radiallahu anhu, a jawab came. And salam upon you, O Abdul Qadir, O leader of the Zamana. Says, I heard. Sayyidina Ali bin Hajar Haiti radiallahu anhu, he heard. So what is this maqam of Gawth Pak radiallahu anhu? Can you understand what I'm trying to say? When he received this khil'at, where he was going, and it is probably regarding this very same thing, that Ala Hadrat Azimul Barakat radiallahu anhu says, Usko so fard sarapa bafaragat ore. Isko so fard sarapa bafaragat ore. Tang hokar jo utarne ko hai nima tera. What does it mean? 100 mystical men can garb themselves very comfortably. 100 spiritual personalities can garb themselves very, very comfortably in your distributed spiritual robe, which was fitting you so tightly. Samajh rahe? Yani that what Gawth Pak is giving everybody else. All of them, 100 of them will fit inside. But for Gawth Pak, tang aa gaya, now I need to go to the next level. What was this? This is the khilat that he received from the court of Allah Almighty through the sadaqah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what happened after that? When he gets this maqam and he is in that height, وَعْتَلَانِي عَلَى سِرٍ قَدِيمٍ وَقَلَّدَنِي وَأَعْتَانِي سُؤَالِي. Sarkar-e Gawth Pak radiallahu anhu discusses and speaks about the secret which Allah unveiled upon him. What was that secret? We'll talk about it tomorrow night, inshallah al-Azim. Tomorrow the program is after Maghrib at Lodge Grove Masjid. So we'll go there for the program, and because we've been doing every night after Isha, like the time that we usually start here, around 7:15, we'll come back here, inshallah al-Azim. I'll deliver the talk there and I'll continue what I've been discussing here, so that we can finish this discussion. However, we will still not be able to finish the discussion on the Qasida Ghawsiyah that I've been discussing. Inshallah, if Allah gives tawfiq in the future, maybe some of the Nuri Mahfils or whatever, I will discuss further and I'll end that. But tomorrow night, I want to discuss this couplet of the secret that has come upon Sarkar-e Gawth Pak radiallahu anhu from the court of Allah. And I want to discuss the statement, Qadami hadihi ala raqabati kulli waliyillah, the depth of that discussion, inshallah, because it is tomorrow the night of Gyari Sharif. And if time permits and we sit a little while, maybe we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow night, inshallah al-Azim. Allah give us tawfiq khair. Again, like I've been doing every night for the last, and the reason I'm finishing 5 minutes early, 5 or 10 minutes early tonight, because Hafiz Sharif has come tonight. He's been busy over the entire week. He has come tonight, so now we can't let him come and not listen to a Naat Sharif or a Mankabat. So after the Taqreer, there'll be something to listen, Naat Sharif or Mankabat. So every night I've been telling you, I've been saying every night I've been taking 5-10 minutes after the lecture, and I've been telling you about the danger of Sulh Kulliyat, and the danger of sitting with bad mazhabs, and the danger of associating with them. I'm repeating the same thing again for you to understand that if you sit with the enemies of Allah and His Rasul, Allah forbid. And if we start making pally in our layman's term with them, you must remember upon them is the ghazab of Allah. The wrath of Allah is falling upon them. The adhab of Allah is falling upon them here and in hereafter. When that ghazab falls upon them, you're going to collect also. Whoever is sitting with them, I'm speaking our layman language here, so that you understand. Whoever is going to be with them, when the ghazab comes upon them, you are going to be party to it also. Today people ask, I do everything right. I don't know why things don't work out. I do this, thing not working out. I do that. After some time you find out that that fellow eats and sits with the Wahhabis. Goes and ducks and read namaz behind them also. Then wants to be with those who are with, they say today in our language, with the who's who. Because of the size of their bank balance and their big cars and everything else. So they're the who's who. So you want to be with the who's who. You are not in the who's who, you're in the worst of the zoo. Even the animals are better than that, who make gustakhi of the Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. They are not the who's who. You haven't understood who is the really who's who in the spiritual sense. The real ones who have reached that maqam is Sarkar-e Gawth Pak radiallahu ta'ala. All the awliya Allah. So please, I'm saying it every night, I'm repeating it every night. Teach your children. Tell them, don't befriend bad mazhabs. In the sense, don't sit and eat and talk and sit, because they will get contaminated. You know, if they keep the company of such people, even you, Allah protect us. We must make dua. Wallahi lazim. We must make dua that before we ever start diverting, Allah na kare, karoro martaba, kharbo martaba, that if ever there is a fear that we're going to start diverting from haqq, Allah take our ruh with iman and let us leave this world before that day. Usi mein khair hai. Usi mein khair hai. That is why, if you look at what Imam Suyuti radiallahu anhu wrote, that there are those awliya Allah that say, I'm not going deep into the discussion, they say that when any member of our family passes away with iman, we become very happy. We become very happy. And they were asked, but somebody in your family has passed away, how are you happy? He said, because they have left this dunya with perfection. They've gone with iman. Hame dar hai ki hamara kya hoga. Allahu Akbar. Great awliya Allah. They said that we are fearing what is going to happen to us. See, don't ever keep this in your mind. We have this one bad habit, that nothing can happen to me. I am too strong. No, don't do that. Don't do that. This is takabbur. Say that I am making dua that Allah keeps me strong. And whatever strength I have is by the grace of Allah, the mercy of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the karam of Gawth Pak, and my Budurgan-e-Deen. They protecting me, that's why I'm protected. Don't start to think now you are somebody. That's when you will fall. Okay? And don't say, no, I'm going to go and meet with that fellow, I'm going to the program, I'm sitting on the stage, and nothing will happen to me. I am tan man. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Bhir mein haath se kam bakht ka iman gaya. It will go, you won't even know. That is why we stay away. Somebody say you are like extreme, you don't go, you don't go. But we don't go because we don't have that thing that we can say, you think you can go. We're not taking those chances. Because iman is too valuable. It is the most valuable thing. If we put this in our heart and we teach our children this, they will teach their children this. Don't see, always people look, oh, but see how big their group is, see how many they gone. We are getting less and less and less. What are you going to say on the day of Badr, what happened? What are you going to say on the day of Karbala, what happened? Stop counting people. Stop counting numbers. Leave all that aside. See who you are with. If you are with Tajushariah, well and good. If you are with Muhaddis Kabir, well and good. You are with Qaid Millat, well and good. You are with Sayyid Shatur Abul Haq, and all these Burgans, well. If you are the good, pious ones, you see that their Pushpanai is there. You know you're okay. But if you find yourself somewhere else that are opposing the beloveds of Allah, I just gave some names. I'm talking about all the Budruks. All the Ahl Sunnat wal Jamaat Mashayikh. Everybody is included. Just leaving you some names because I'm talking about my own Mashayikh. Okay? But everybody, all the Ahl Sunnat Budurgan-e-Deen. Allah has given us this heart, alhamdulillah, by His grace and mercy and the karam of Allah Hazrat, that we don't accept slander of anybody. Any Budurg, no matter which silsila they come from. No matter where they come from, they are Allah's mahbub, they are our beloved. Sar aankhon pe. You understand? Don't say because I'm this, I won't accept. No. If they are real, the pious ones are not this Allah tappos, who come here and try to make people stupid and say, okay, we don't read namaz here, we're reading namaz in the haram while we're sitting with you. We don't want to hear all this nonsense. Okay? We are talking about the real personalities. Any budurg, any wali Allah, anybody who opposes, he is not from us. We have nothing to do with such people. Okay? So Allah keep us safe, and at the same time, you make effort to be safe. You make effort. See, you put your money in the safe. You locked it up. You put the code. But you can't guarantee the thief is not going to open it. And that is an ordinary thief. Inna shaitana lil insani aduwwun mubin. Your open enemy is shaitan. And very destructive, the most destructive. Don't think he can't get in. I told you yesterday or day before. Don't think that he can't hack you. He can hack your heart. But if you keep the antivirus of Allah Hazrat there, and the Budurgan-e-Deen there, they will protect it. Not you protecting, but you make the effort. You put it in the safe, you put your combination, you do everything. And you say, Allah, all is in your qabda, qudrat, whatever, you will protect me. Through the wasita of your beloved Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and all these Budurgan-e-Deen. Okay? Allah keep us with iman. Let us leave the world with iman. Those who are ill, Allah grant them shifai kamil set ajil. Those that have passed away in Ahlul Sunnah, Allah exalt them in Jannat Naeem. Who have asked me to make dua for them, I'm making dua for all of them. And dua for the Sunni Muslims of Palestine and everywhere else in the world that they're going through difficulty. Allah ease their difficulty and Allah have karam upon them. And special dua for Huzur Sayyidi Mahdi Al-Qaadiri Sahat. Alhamdulillah, Hazrat is much better today as well. So Allah give him Sahat wa Salamati, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the weakness, the physical kamzori that he's been having, may Allah remove that, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep his karam over us and the karam of Huzur Qaid Millat and all the Mashaykh Haq, ulama Haq, Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat. Wa ma alina balagh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.